All right, let's dive into a question that's, well, it's simple, but it's also kind of unsettling. And honestly, it could be revolutionary. We're talking about our planet's most essential resource and a future that, might be way closer than any of us think.
I mean, really think about that for a second. What happens to, well, everything? When the one thing that dictates where we can live, how we can live, suddenly becomes available to everyone, everywhere, for free? The implications are just staggering, and it all hinges on one incredible idea.
Yeah, that's the core concept we're digging into today. Just imagine a system where the incredible, immense weight of the ocean, that's the engine. We're talking about a piece of technology that's literally 2,000 years old, and it could be the trigger for the single largest resource shift in all of human history.
You heard that right, an ancient toy. The whole principle is based on something called Heron's fountain, this really clever device from ancient Alexandria. But what happens when you take that simple little concept and blow it up to a planetary scale?
Okay, the key phrase you've got to remember here is power-free. This is not just another massive, energy-guzzling desalination plant. No way. The mega ocean Huron's fountain is totally different. It uses the planet's own physics. I'm talking the sheer weight of the ocean itself to do all the work. No electricity, no fuel, just gravity.
The real beauty of this whole system is just how simple it is. You can break it down into 3 basic steps. First up, you've got pressure. The insane weight of the ocean creates this massive, massive pressure deep down. Then comes the flow. That pressure gets funneled, kind of like squeezing a tube of toothpaste, and it forces water up through a whole series of chambers. And finally, you get the cycle. This creates a motion that just keeps going and going, a fountain that runs forever powered by nothing but the weight of the water.
So what happens when you suddenly have unlimited water? Well, entire chunks of our civilization start to transform like overnight. And the very first, most immediate wave of change, it's going to be agriculture. We're talking about turning the world's deserts into its new bread baskets. And this slide just illustrates that shift perfectly. You see our current world, a world of scarcity, where our food supply is basically at the mercy of rainfall and droughts. But then you look at this other world, a world of abundance. I mean, just picture it. 300-story hydroponic towers shooting up from the deserts in places like Phoenix or Dubai, churning out massive amounts of food right where people actually live. Think about it. Starvation could become a thing of the past.
The ripple effect on logistics alone would be just huge. With food becoming hyperlocal, the whole need to ship it across continents and oceans, it would just plummet. The source material we're looking at projects that global food shipping can shrink by a staggering 70%. But here's the thing. Agriculture is just the beginning.
Right. So the second wave to get completely transformed is our digital world. Turns out, free water doesn't just grow food. It also powers the future of tech and AI. And it could turn the hottest places on Earth into the new capitals of computation.
Okay, so here's a fundamental truth that most of us just never ever think about. The brains of our entire modern economy, those massive data centers running everything from your Instagram feed to global finance, their biggest limit isn't processing power, it's cooling. They have to stay cool, and cooling requires a truly colossal amount of water.
Just look at this comparison. Right now, today, data centers are totally bottlenecked by how much water they can get and how much it costs to cool everything down. But in a future with this gravity-fed water, that bottleneck just vanishes. With infinite, free cooling, cities like Riyadh or Phoenix could build AI clusters that would make today's look like toys. Suddenly, the desert, with its endless sun for solar and now endless water for cooling, becomes the perfect place to build the future of AI.
Now this next transformation, this one is one of the most powerful. And it's because it's a completely unexpected byproduct. While this whole system is busy solving our water problems on land, it quietly starts to heal the oceans themselves. It literally creates what could be the Earth's very first self-cleaning cycle.
And here's how it works. Every single time the system pulls in seawater, it has to filter it just to function properly. So that means the very act of making fresh water is also constantly cleaning the ocean, passively pulling out all the nasty stuff, microplastics, oils, chemical residues, you name it.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This isn't some big, expensive cleanup project. It's a built-in feature of the infrastructure. A whole global network of these fountains would basically act like a set of planetary-scale kidneys for the ocean, just running 24/7 with absolutely zero energy cost.
So let's step back. You've got abundant food, you've got unlimited computation, and you've got oceans that are healing themselves. What does that actually do to our civilization? Well, it fundamentally changes the entire game. We'd be entering a post-scarcity era, where water is no longer something to fight over, no longer a weapon of geopolitics.
So, what's the price tag on all this? What's the economic impact? Well, the numbers are so big they're almost hard to wrap your head around. Let's start with the absolute most conservative, low-end estimate for the long-term economic uplift, $50 trillion.
And remember, that's the low end. The high-end estimate, we're talking about a mind-boggling $90 trillion.
And you've got to remember, even that $90 trillion figure is considered conservative. It can't possibly capture the deeper value, what water really makes possible, life itself. Cities could boom. Entire regions we once thought were unlivable could thrive. The whole structure of our world would shift away from managing scarcity to engineering abundance.
Which, of course, brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. The science? It seems plausible. The engineering? That's really just a matter of scale. But the real challenge? It isn't technical, it's human.
Future historians might look back on our time as the moment our species made a choice. The moment humanity stopped fighting over scarcity and finally started engineering abundance, building a world where the essentials are for everyone.
So, are we ready for that? Are we ready for a technology that no single country, no single corporation can ever really monopolize? Are we, as a society, emotionally and politically prepared for that kind of abundance? That's the real question, isn't it?
Because one way or another, change is coming. The physics is sound. The potential is undeniable. This isn't some sci-fi movie. It's a vision of a reality that we could actually engineer, just waiting for us to build it.